Welcome back. I am your friendly neighborhood Uhfgood, and now we are going to light the environment that we loaded in the last. We loaded in the last time. Okay, so lighting has a big impact on atmosphere. Changing the lighting in your game is the first step toward creating a really spooky environment for players to explore. Lights in Unity are simply game objects with light component added. The light component contains settings which allow you to change the color and intensity of a light, as well as the type of light and various complex controls for shadows and light mapping. Every new scene in Unity comes with directional light, one of the two game objects created as your default. Your scene also has a ton of extra lights added by the level prefab. Let's start with directional light. Okay, so let's start with directional light. Change the directional light in your scene. What does that do? The directional light in your scene is set to the directional type. Directional type lights mimic very distant light objects such as the sun. They can be placed anywhere in the scene and rotated to change the angle at which the light affects the scene. Let's alter directional light to feel more like moonlight and create some interesting shadows. Hierarchy window, set the directional light game object. It's right there. You're going to change some of the properties of the light component, starting with the color. But first you need to understand how colors work. In the inspector, click on the color property. Clicking any color property will open the color picker window. Color picker. Is that anything like nose picker? Nose picker, color picker. Okay. Okay. Color picker window gives you a number of different options to set values for color. Colors made up 4 channels: red, green, blue, alpha. What happened to the button? Okay, there we go. Oh, I see. The amount of each of these channels that makes up a color can be represented in different ways. You can choose a representation using the drop-down menu just below the color ring. Check the set the drop-down set to RGB 0 to 255. Representation means that each channel is represented by an integer between 0 and 255, and it is. Okay. Set the color property of the light component to this 225, 225, 240, and 250. Okay. Create a very light blue light rather than yellow. In the light component, increase the intensity property to 2. Intensity to 2. Now you can improve the quality of the spooky shadows in the haunted house. In the light component, find the real-time shadows property, change its resolution properly from use quality settings to very high resolution. Very high resolution. Okay. Set the real-time shadow bias and normal bias properties to 0.01. Bias. Okay. Both of them, huh? Right. 0.01. In the transform component, set the rotation property to 30, 20, 0. 30. Let's zoom in on there. That's interesting how it... That's alright, I guess. 30, 20, 0. Okay. Save your scene. Scene is already... Whoa. Cancel. It's trying to save the web page. Yes. It's already looking spookier. Actually, I want to see if it looks spookier to me. Oh. I keep forgetting. Main scene. Whoops. Main camera. Let's just put this at 0. And I'm actually going to save that just so I can see what it looks like in here. Cool, we got a light. It doesn't look very eerie, but it looks pretty neat. Okay. And what's the next thing? Create a global illumination light mapping effect. There are two different kinds of lighting in Unity which help you simulate real-world light behavior, direct and indirect. Direct lighting is from a specific light source such as the sun, the directional light you're seeing. Indirect lighting is the additional lighting that occurs when direct light bounces off of surfaces. Same scene with no lighting, left, with direct light only, center, and with global illumination, indirect global illumination, right. I might start using Firefox just for this because I don't have the ads on in there. I could turn the ads off if I wanted to, but so maybe we'll see. Global illumination on the right. Note how colors transferred as light bounces between surfaces, giving a much more realistic result. Okay. This effect is most commonly created in Unity using the global illumination light mapping feature. Light mapping simulates the bouncing of light within the scene and writes or bakes it to an asset stored within the project. This takes time but can result in really realistic looking scenes. To save some time, you can use an approximation to create a similar effect. Go to the window menu and select rendering lighting settings. Window. Rendering lighting settings. Okay. Click and drag the name. Click and drag on the name tag and dock it next to the inspector window. Let's see. Okay, let's do it over here. Like that. The lighting settings window is the main control point for Unity's global illumination features for the currently loaded scene. It also contains the settings for the environment lighting, reflections, and fog. In the real-time lighting section, disable the real-time global illumination checkbox. Real-time global illumination checkbox. We're disabling that. Okay. In the mixed lighting section, disable the baked global illumination checkbox. Okay. In the environment section, use the circle select button to the far right of the skybox material property to set it to none. You don't need a realistic sky for this game. You'll use alternative lighting. In the environment section, use the circle select button on the what now? Environment, right up there. Set it to none. None. Okay. Default skybox. Okay, so I just did that, I guess. In the environment section, set the environment lighting source to gradient. Gradient. Whoa, now everything is a little bit different. Gradient is broken into 3 color fields. Sky, which controls the environment light, comes from above the scene. Equator controls the light that travels the horizon towards the middle of the scene. Ground, which controls the light that comes from below the scene. You can think of the gradient as a big sphere that wraps around your whole scene. Okay, skate. Okay. Set the sky to a lighter gray. What is that? 170. Makes everything red. 80. Now makes everything kind of yellowish, and 200, which makes it kind of bluish, grayish color. Okay. Set the equator color to a blue-gray. Uh, 90, 110, 130. Okay. Ground color to black, which would be 0, 0, 0. Okay. Overall brightness of the floors and objects like beds and tables. The equator will lift the brightness of the walls and props. The ground color will can add light that would create a nice global illumination style effect. However, this would be too bright for the haunted house you're creating. Save your scene. Okay. You've completed the basic lighting for your game and use it to enhance its spooky atmosphere. Next, you'll create a mesh that will help ghosts move around the game environment. Mark this as completed, and let's go ahead and just hit play right now. That looks pretty cool. Oh, what am I seeing? Ghosts already? I'm seeing ghosts. I ain't afraid no ghosts. Okay. Well, thank you for bearing with me, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll add a navigation mesh. So, see you then.